check this out. This is the house that AJ and I grew up in as teenage metalheads in the glory days of metal. I remember that my first record I bought with my own money was AC/DC Back in Black. That was the big turning point for me as a metal kid.
Yeah, so I would say what metal found us, maybe?
Or we found metal.
Metal found us, and then we seeked out more metal, and we found it.
I had an older brother, Mark. So when you have an older brother, you actually get a little of the trickle-down effect of what they were listening to.
It's true.
And he played me War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath opened me up, opened up my mind, and gave me balls.
I remember thinking that was the darkest, most heaviest I've ever heard. And that was pre-bar mitzvah days. I was like, 12. I wasn't even a teenager yet.
That was hot.
I feel like it started with me with Foreigner.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Foreigner pushed me towards the hard rock way. Does this make me metal? And my neighbor was like, let me hear it. He's like, all right, it's not quite metal yet. And then he's like, go get yourself Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest, go pick up an Ozzy, and then come back to me.
The song that got me into metal was TNT by AC/DC.
Sunset on your color TV screen.
After I heard that, I was hooked.
Here's metal. It's me in Kevin Richardson's garage. Steal weed from his brother, smoke it, and then go steal his Sabbath albums and put them on and listen to it while drinking. That's how it started.
Where I was from in Yonkers, it was either you were a Guido or you were a metalhead. I was a Guido metalhead. So it was a little classy, a little espresso, a little priest.
I remember just going, dude, that's heavy. Like, that was my reaction to hearing metal music. Like, damn, that's heavy.
When you're a teenager, you get so many things thrown at you. Life changes.
I was very confused.
Mental changes.
And actually, metal is what sprung me into manhood.
Obey your master! Like, wow, I will listen. Who is my master? I will listen. It's so hard. It was like hard, angry music. And I was angry.
I'll dab once in a while on the shout, shout. What you got after that? That energy don't touch.
What's the anatomy of a teenage metalhead?
Is somebody who is anti-establishment, anti-bathing, and anti-social.
You're into that weird flock of seagulls, you're out.
Denim and leather. It's metal.
Denim jackets that were decorated with magic markers.
A lot of little buttons that would say your favorite bands.
Your jacket painted? You got the priest, defenders on the faith?
I was the stud guy. I had like the big one here to here, wearing it in the middle of like history class.
Maybe a leather bracelet, but not too many spikes, because that was, you're not sure what team he was on.
It's true.
Along with a skull ring on every finger and just looking like a total jackass. Well, the concert tee was your badge of honor that showed you went to the gig.
I think that's part of when you're there, is to get the concert tee.
An Iron Maiden shirt will always tell the world where you stand. Well, actually now it just tells you that you're like an Avril Lavigne fan who's found it at a thrift shop, and it's very, you actually paid $400 for a vintage Iron Maiden shirt.
Back in the 83, 84, 85, if you like metal, you had to try and grow your hair long.
Flexing it, yes. The Motley hat mold, as you call it.
See that look? That's kind of a look like, look at the bangs. It affected me for a lifetime.
I was never able to be part of that world because I couldn't have long hair.
My hair was much longer, but, I was always sort of basing the length of my hair on the length of Eddie Van Halen's hair.
My parents wouldn't let me have long hair.
Serious metalheads, they had the straight up, like, Franken mullet. And the longer the tail, the harder you rocked.
I came from a town with 500 people, so having long hair was a big deal.
I didn't like that whole judging thing with hair, because I was part of the short hair crew.
There was 2 kids in my school who had really long hair, and that was very, very controversial at the time.
You should have short hair because you can get a better job.
you, man.
Really needed to work at Sears.
You couldn't play both ends of the coin. You had to be one or the other.
I got the dangling cross earring in.
What is he, some sort of a rebel?
If you're not with us, you're against us.
Well, I can't grow my hair, stupid!
You had to either be wearing the garb and have some sort of metal hair,
You know my father, stupid!
or you weren't a metalhead.
Yeah, whatever, poison lover.
And then you have the metal freak.
Satan really is here.
Yeah, I looked a little scary. I had a beat-up car, and my music was always cranking. I just look a little intimidating.
There were different facets to the metal world. There was the glam guys that were all about the spandex and the scarves and the makeup.
I used to date guys that wore more makeup than I did.
Then there were like the denim guys.
This is who I am. You don't like it, that's your problem.
Steve and I were a little bit more of the glam. You know, we had the spandex pants on.
Dude, change your pants. You look ridiculous.
Wow, this was my room, and it was so metal. It was so decked out when I lived here, and now it's like it's a trip, dude. It's totally different. Obviously, belongs to a girl now.
Ooh. You see my room? I'm there. I am in Metal Land.
My room was my asylum. You walk in and you had your heroes on your wall.
There was no empty white space. It was just chock full of posters.
Motley Crue pictures, Rat, Maiden.
Iron Maiden, the Power Slave poster.
Big Maiden fan. They're with my band, so all the Maiden pictures and then all the Eddie pictures, which was why Maiden ruled, because they had Eddie. So even like if you're sick of looking at ugly English guys, you just look at a dead corpse, which is even better.
Each band had their own area.
I had an entire wall dedicated to my Aussie collection.
Then there was your Heather Thomas and your Heather Locklear posters on the ceiling.
I had what I believed was a satanic altar. It had the upside-down cross, and I had candles and chains and a place to worship the beast. I really believed that if I ever brought a chick home with me, she'd see my satanic altar and really know that I meant business here with this.
Pentagram any day, it's hot.
I had a sign on the wall that said "No women allowed." What the hell was wrong with me?
My stereo was tremendously important. It was my life. I had a horrible stereo system. It was like
Just a muffled, awful noise.
My only question was, how many watts? How many watts? How many watts?
Anything to get me riled up. I'd have pillows, put them together, put on Motley Crue, 10 seconds to love. Be all up in a fake metal chick, have all the other pillows watching. 10 seconds to love, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming!
A lot of times it was just like pure, honest, committed thrashing. Like the concert was happening in my room.
I come from a religious home. A friend of mine knew that my mom's like really religious, so he gave me 2 Slayer albums. There was a song on it called Jesus Saves. So I'm like, oh, check it out, Christian rock. So I like put it on, and in my room it's like, Jesus, Jesus saves, Jesus saves, and then it stops. It goes, nobody! And I'm like,
What with that devil music?
My mom was very supportive of my metal persona.
When he was little, he would call me in listen to Black Sabbath.
Sometimes she would complain that the music I was listening to wasn't heavy enough.
Ma, shut the door!
If I was listening to Back in Black and my mom stood in my doorway and sort of danced like, I like this one's catchy, I would no longer listen to that record.
What is this music? Can you please leave?
This was my teenage metal room when I was growing up, and I can't believe it. It's such a trip being in here. This was taken right in this room. Look, check out my Joe Elliott mullet, my Def Leppard do at that point. There was a theme there. So we could recreate the photo in the bedroom.
Coming up, Dave Navarro is a victim of Metalhead Profile.
I get thrown out, not Steve Perkins.
But first, Lit takes us back to their school and shows us where the Metalheads roamed free.
We're here where we went to high school, and we were teenage metalheads.
Were ditched, and every notebook needed an awesome Judas Priest logo.
Hey, we're lit. This is where we went to high school, where we were teenage metalheads, and we ruled. We're gonna show you where.
Here we go. Here's what you used to write. Heavy metal, rock and roll, drink a fifth, smoke a bowl. Sums it all up.
Back in high school, you know, the Metalheads definitely hung in their own part of the cafeteria.
Oh, you have your certain cliques, and everybody stays in that area.
That's the cool table.
The geeks are over there.
All the nerds were actually kind of slutty. You know, it was a little bit, like, disturbing.
That's the jock table.
Jocks, of course, are close to the cheerleaders.
Every once in a while, you'd see one of the cooler Hessians kind of sitting at the table with the cheerleaders.
The guy with the really long hair.
Yeah,
that's
the longest hair.
The guy with the best brush.
There's an Asian posse at our school.
That's true. They named themselves that.
My school was a bunch of jocks and a bunch of kickers.
And then you had like the preppy chicks who were like the Duran Duran fans and stuff like that.
Anything but heavy metal.
And I never actually got to talk to any of those girls because I actually made a shirt out of a black t-shirt and paint, and I wrote "Death to Duran Duran" on my shirt. And I didn't have a date all through high school, and looking back, I know the reason why.
Probably our favorite time of the day when we were in high school was lunchtime. Here's the cafeteria behind us. Most of the time, all the Hessians would meet up, and we'd cruise out in the parking lot into someone's van, and we would do things we weren't really supposed to do.
All the metal kids were in the back of the cafeteria, outside, because you could smoke back there.
If you went to the smoking doors in high school, they were all the metalheads are out there.
We'd go over to the metal table over here.
Try and sneak a smoke behind the tree or under the table or whatever.
For instance, right now, you probably can't even tell that I have a cigarette. This is the old technique we used to use when we were hanging out, and we'd avoid the narcs, and we would just kind of, when they would turn their back, we'd go.
They would try and get as far away from school as possible.
Yeah, go drinking and stuff, and then come back to school totally wasted.
Metalheads like to lay low. They like to hang out in areas where most people aren't hanging out.
Corners and behind things. We like to hang out behind stuff.
Back again, huh, Jimmy?
School was just something that took place between metal.
I think most teachers got it. Some didn't.
There was a teacher that used to buy beer for the students.
One of my teachers was cool because he would let me write the heavy metal lyrics all day in class.
He let you write metal lyrics?
Metal lyrics.
That guy was like Walt Whitman or something.
Yeah, I don't know why.
He's an English teacher with the tweed jacket with the leather arm things and the pipe and the mustache, and he was just like...
He was real.
Full-on, like, literary dude.
I have an explicit memory of sitting in class day after day. The teacher would be the Charlie Brown voice, wah, 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 thinking, which side of Aerosmith rocks will I play when I get home?
What kind of a man desecrates a defenseless textbook?
I had to have all my book covers decorated. So I had like Metallica, AC/DC,
Van Halen to Dokken to Winger to Cinderella to the Scorpions.
Every day I'd go to school, like, write rat and roll all over my notebooks.
I would draw the Iron Maiden mascot over and over.
You can get Eddie just right. You were some serious shit.
I would draw 4 other kids at one point.
Eddie, if you're watching, there were a lot of kids drawing your dumb ass.
You know, growing up, you'd think that all your teachers are total geeks.
Is that clear what transduction is?
They try to influence you with their taste, but you basically just...
To the principal's office.
I get called to the dean's office. He says, Dave, I'll ask you a question. Why is it that anytime somebody in this school wants drugs, they come to you or Steve Perkins? And I went, I don't know. What do you say to that? Well, what ends up happening? I get thrown out, not Steve Perkins.
Bend over. He didn't kick me out, but at any time during the school day,
Steve Perkins, report to Dean Hall.
And I had to go to him, pick up his cleaning, wash his car. I swear to God.
Why didn't I get that opportunity?
I don't know. I think they had to have one Jewish guy graduate every year. We started school, I think, at 8 a.m.
That's right.
But for some reason, Dave had to pick me up at 7.
I'd pick up Steve an hour before school, and what we'd do is we'd crank metal, we would drink a 6-pack of beer, and smoke bong loads, do coke, and then go to school by 8.
That's 8 a.m.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
A metalhead car.
Firebird formula.
The Trans Am.
Nobody who was listening to metal music was riding around in a brand new anything.
You'd meet the guy in first period, you'd be like, dude, I got this new Camaro, man. I spent the whole weekend working on it, you know, and he was all proud of it. And you go out in the parking lot after school, and it would be the biggest rust bucket piece of
primer on the
you've
side
ever seen in your life. You're like, yeah, dude, that's great. I'd rather be seen in my mom's 4-door Buick.
I think also, like, just a beat-up Pinto is kind of metalhead.
That's true. That's really true.
All my money was invested into this sound system.
I've got the Colts electric record cranked on stun, you know, and it's all flubbing out. It just sounds terrible, but I didn't care because it was like, cool, man.
I didn't care if the tires or brakes were good. It's a kick-ass sound.
I drove 9 hours with my friend Ed in a really awful van. It was like a 1970 Chevy van. It had no speakers. I used stereo. Remember the big stereo speakers? I had them in the back with an air mattress bed. And we're driving along Florida Turnpike. I'm creeping in. 7 more hours, Ed. We're gonna be there.
There was a guy that actually used to purposely hit my car after school when I first got a car and turned 17. That's how much he hated metal.
So you're a preppy guy?
No, you know what it was more in my school?
An athlete?
It was worse than that. An athlete, yeah. Guys like you.
The last day of school, dude, when you, like, the coolest thing was going to your locker and just, like, hucking everything out because you knew you didn't care, you didn't need anything anymore, hucking your books if you're really, like, super
You know what,
badass.
actually, I actually got, on the last day of school in sophomore year, I got suspended the first day of school in my junior year for doing that very same thing.
Dude, you had to do it.
Which is just extended my summer like an extra day. It was real bad punishment.
Coming up, witness the glorious carnage that is the metal concert parking lot.
I'm ready to turn over a car in the name of Judas Priest, which is going on in 7 more hours!
But first, Lit revisits their favorite headbanger hangout.
You charge $3 to get in around the corner.
And search for that ultimate air guitar high.
This here was our backyard when we were kids, when we were teenage metalheads, and we had many, many nights hanging out when our parents were gone and when we were drinking beer when we weren't supposed to be and having our friends over, listening to music. And
the perfect backyard for a metal party. There's nothing to screw up. Band would set up on the patio.
You charge $3 to get in around the corner, the gate. You have your biggest friend you have charging $3.
Chicks for free.
Chicks free.
Oh, yeah.
A typical metal night is blasting every great metal song you have, sneaking beer in the back seat that you've poured into Pepsi and Coke cans all night long that you well orchestrated before you went out, drive around for approximately 4 hours going, dude, what are we doing?
When we were too young to get into the clubs or bars, we used to actually hang out at the mall parking lot.
Go to the park.
Bethpage Park, Nathan's parking lot, the Dairy Queen.
Hang out at the convenience store.
The graveyard.
Everyone would bring their cars up and turn up their radios and drink their Mad Dog 2020 and their Boone's Farm.
There would be drinking and pot smoking and cigarette smoking, just hanging out, and I think getting down with the dead people was cool.
I very much subscribe to the 7-Eleven parking lot rock, where you'd hang out and you would crank the new Judas Priest as loud as possible, and you'd know that life was good.
Dude, what are we doing?
If we had some girls with us, we'd just get beers. They used to have these 8-packs of things called nips, and we would just crank the metal and just hang out in the back of, like every weekend.
Basically go out, line all of our cars up, and start a big bonfire.
But stop, we gotta get food. Metalheads need to eat. Snag up 4,000 pounds of White Castle. Stood there just all metalled out, my leather stud against the window. Excuse me. Excuse me. Not too many onions. Not too many onions. What do you guys want?
Going to a concert, there are certain things you have to do. You gotta get there early so you can start partying.
Like 6 hours early.
Yeah, you gotta sit in the parking lot.
I'm ready to turn over a car in the name of Judas Priest, which is going on in 7 more hours!
Everyone's got their metal blasting, and everyone's got their little barbecue-type party, either beers or the harder stuff.
Dude, I'm so buzzed, man. Got my smoke buzz and like 3 beers.
Bush and Budweiser, you got your choice.
Grab a 6-pack of Schlitz, a pack of Camel Lights, let's get it on.
The beauty of a lot of concerts, too, is, you go there and you don't really know anybody, so you're just gonna see tons of hot chicks.
I'm ready to rock.
You'd be hoarse by the time you got in. You'd be ready to go. When we went in there, man, it was all about raging and
Ace Frehley's Comet was playing, and we couldn't get in because we were too young. We were really sad. This guy comes up to us, and he's like, "What's wrong, girls?" And we're like, "We can't get in to see Ace." And he's like, "Well, I'm Peter Frampton, and I'm gonna get you in." I felt like Peter Frampton was like an angel from heaven that night.
The first concert I saw other than my dad's concerts was Van Halen's Diver Down tour.
I went to the Fair Warning tour of Van Halen, and I got so drunk in the parking lot. I mean, I was tanked, and my dad took me to this show.
Somebody threw a roll of toilet paper, so this thing went streaming across. You know, you saw it sort of unfolding, and then it hit David Lee Roth, and he stopped the song. You know, and everybody was like, "Oh, you know, something bad's gonna happen." He's like, "That's okay, because I know who did that, and right after the show, I'm gonna f his girlfriend."
I remember Eddie Van Halen playing. They came out, I barely saw anything, and I was running up the steps to go to the bathroom and throw up, and I didn't make it, and I threw up on a guy sitting in his chair at Van Halen. And we went home.
If you hang out at a show and you leave the parking lot after most of the other cars are gone, then you have that whole thing to negotiate around the 9 million empty beer bottles and not blow out your tires.
Ah, the horns.
The devil horns. The metal sign. If you want to be super metal, right there. That's double the metal.
This is one element of metal culture that has been completely co-opted by like every other genre of music, either ironically or seriously.
We took the irony out of this by actually worshiping the devil now.
You know what I always do? I always go like that, or I go like that, and nobody knows the difference because I don't want it to be all evil.
This is the sign language symbol for I love you. Then Ronnie James Dio, he took out the love part right there, okay? Now all of a sudden we have a devil's horn.
I always thought it came from Breakfast Club. I got you for 2 months.
2 months, Bender.
For 2 months, I got you.
2 months.
2 months.
I got you.
I still find myself doing it all the time. Like, my hand will just go to it.
Ultimately, seeing a sea full of people in an audience doing that at the same time is much funner than seeing them going like this. This is kind of dorky.
Heavy metal chicks back in the day, especially the older ones, were almost like your older sister. Like they were the ones that had like better cars and they had jobs and they would like take you out to Denny's afterwards and like buy you food and they would always and they always had wine coolers in their car. Like
I think the metal chicks were definitely more into sex than say the cheerleaders.
Let's define the metal chick.
You have to have like the helmet head, hairspray, bangs perfectly in place. I used to go to the beach and my friends would make fun of me because I wouldn't go in the water. I'd like go in the water up to here so that I didn't get my bangs wet.
I meet this girl, Chrissy. She said she would go out with me, but she had to bring a friend. So I brought a friend, Mike. Her girlfriend's in the back seat with Michael. She sprays Michael in the eye with the hairspray by mistake. And he has an allergic reaction to the hairspray. And I have to take him to the hospital. This is our date. Me and Chrissy. I'm in the emergency room with Mike. His face is like a puff of fish. She comes in and goes, "Hey, listen, we're gonna get a cab and go to the party, okay?" And they leave us.
I remember there was a girl in my class who said that Faster Pussycat was the best record to have sex to. And it blew our minds. She was admitting she was having sex. She was admitting that she liked heavy metal. She was admitting that she, like, had sex enough times to enough music that she could, like, you know, rank it.
You were a little scared to be in sexual encounters with him?
Yeah, just when I'm gonna orgasm, brick me in the temple. For the name of metal.
What would you say if you saw Rob Halford right now?
I'd jump his bones.
The reputation of the girls that had the whole metal look going, I think it was very much like they're sluts.
Lexington, we love you. We want to f your brains out. Yeah.
Metal chicks were only easy if they met real band members.
Tommy Lee, it's like, ooh, he is hot.
You lose them like that.
You don't have to be like a groupie girl to be into metal.
They would get drunk and they would leave with the guy who, you know, looked like Jill Elliott. It's like, damn, but you spent the whole party with me.
Air guitar is its own society.
I remember being in my bedroom and just sitting there playing air guitar. Are you ready?
You want to pretend that you're live in Madison Square Garden playing it. Everyone does.
I sure as hell would, man. I'd pick up a tennis racket. I didn't know I was a drummer yet.
I was Paul Stanley banging those power chords as the bombs went off.
I guess we felt uncomfortable with air guitars, so we made guitars out of cardboard. And we paint them and make them look just like the ones on the record.
That's awesome.
That was fun.
The mark of a good air guitarist is that you have to know a little bit about playing guitar.
You can't just go like diddle-diddle-diddle down.
You have to do some of the sounds like wow, or the, you know, like the hot potato, like a in the mouth type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes air guitar is very inappropriate.
No one's at home in the house. And you do that double check just to make sure no one's home.
Anybody sees you doing it and having the worst feeling of being, it's worse than being caught masturbating.
You put maybe a little sweatpants on, your own little outfit that you're gonna tear it up in your house.
It can bring out the worst in sort of the geeky Metallian tendencies, and then when others judge us, it's hard to have a response.
What are you doing? Nothing. What, are you air guitaring? No.
What the f you doing here? I thought you left.
Coming up, a metal wet dream comes to life.
How weird is that you get the biggest super rock guitar hero at a school talent show sound check?
Plus, Lit shows us how we're about to find out as My Coolest Years takes our headbangers to the high school prom. Will the end of high school mean an end to their metalness?
I never went to prom. Dude, that's the thing about metalheads is they don't go to prom until they're like, they've graduated for a few years. They're like, your metalhead's like 21 and he goes to prom with like an 17, 18-year-old. That's exactly what I did. I went to prom a couple years later with a heavy metal chick.
Prom was the toughest time to defend your metal.
If you're into metal, you're not gonna go there and put tux on and dance to like the Romantics, What I Like About You.
Yeah, well, I'm paying $150 and I'm gonna dance to fairy music and then I'm gonna get my donkey wet. We're at the prom and we're hanging out and, you know, they're playing all the little top 80 songs going on and I start slipping, you know? I'm like, yeah, play some Dio, man!
What's the matter with you?
What do you do? Nothing. Everything's cool. Like a race. Sit down. Sit down. I'm having a good time because I love you. I think you're awesome.
I didn't have a boyfriend at that time in high school, so I decided to just go with a friend.
I went with a girlfriend, and I looked like a total slut, I have to say. I really did.
I ended up winning prom queen for some reason, and he got really mad at me. He ended up, like, throwing my trophy at me and yelling all kinds of obscenities at me, but it was really because he didn't get laid, and he knew he wasn't going to, and he wanted to. I know you did.
We went for about 15 minutes, and a couple teachers hit on me, and then we left.
The end of the night, though, was Richard Marx' Hold On to the Night. Right when you're getting ready to leave with your date and you hopefully hook up at the end of prom, you know, you go for the Hold On to the Night, you go for the slow dance one time. Yeah, it's the awkward, you know, 16-year-old boner.
We did the limo. Got my little alcohol as we're going home. She was ready to see the donkey. I know that driver's watching. So I'm like, yo, that donkey can't come out. She's like, bring him out. Chickened out, I didn't want an audience. And the donkey stayed dry that night. It was a sad metal day for me, bro.
My 15 minutes of teenage fame was playing at Battle of the Band. The first time we played, everyone was there to see us, Like, so it was really packed, and we're like, wow, maybe they like us. But then we realized that they were just there to heckle us and make fun of us, and we were like, oh, maybe it would be cooler if there were less people here.
I started playing guitar because of Eddie Van Halen, and one day, out of the blue, we got a phone call at our house, and it was a guy claiming to be Eddie Van Halen, and he wanted to come meet Frank Zappa. He wanted to meet my dad. A week later, I was playing at my school talent show, and we were playing Running with the Devil. Somebody came over and said, no, 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 you gotta fix it. I'm hearing this guy talking, I'm like, it's Eddie Van Halen, it's gotta be. It turns out it really was, and he stands behind me, and he's playing the guitar while it's over my shoulder, and he fixed the chord for me and showed me. How weird is that you get the biggest super rock guitar hero at a school talent show sound check? It's pretty cool.
Mine definitely was November 1989, opening up for this band called Excellency. And they were the guy that we had the instrumental techniques class, his partner that would come in to teach jazz, this guy who looked just like John Oates from Daryl Hall and John Oates. He had the full thick-ass, poof stash and the perm do. His name was Rick. And Rick would come, and we got to open, our band got to open for Excellency.
Remember when we played the Troubadour?
Oh, yeah.
That first night?
When I threw the drumstick?
And I almost put my dad's eye out. He was so excited.
I didn't toss it. I threw it.
I mean, like he was playing the Rose Bowl or something. And he just went, doing, and just like nearly put my dad's eye out.
It's true. It's true.
Unbelievable.
The whole high school came to see us play. The Troubadour loved us. They're like, wow, you can come back anytime.
Come back for Friday night.
They got fans.
We played 3 songs. We played Talk Dirty to Me by Poison, Crazy Train by Ozzy, and Here I Go Again. No, Still the Night by Whitesnake. That was the 3 songs.
So you're a cover band.
That was my crowning moment. I've never, ever been able to top that.
7-11-22 to Kenny.
Music didn't get me in trouble with the law so much as what I was doing while I was listening to the music.
It's almost like you were put on a pedestal and you were a badass if you went to juvie. And it was always the metal guys like, yep, yeah, old Bob. Yeah, he's in juvie again. He won't be back in school for a while.
I spent a long night in jail once. You smoke a joint and get pulled over. And you're listening to a Tesla record. It's not fun.
I remember once we got pulled over, and it was one of those things where you drive by and you see 2 guys pulled over and 2 empty beers on the hood. The cop's sitting there writing the ticket. We were the 2 guys in the car with the 2 empty beers. Whoops.
We did a lot of street parties in high school. And of course, someone would have a huge ghetto blaster or their car pulled up with the doors open, and they'd be, blasting some Pantera out of it or something. And we'd have a good old time until, of course, the police came.
We started our band when we were still in high school. So, we would, on occasion, we'd be passing out flyers. We had flyers for our shows. So we weren't just, the metalheads. We were metalheads that actually had a reason to be, because we were in a band. So that helped.
I remember the day I told my dad, I said, you know what? I'm not digging this school thing, and I want to be a rock guitar player. That's what I'm going to do. And I hear they have this test. The GED, by the way, which is not much of a challenge.
I finished school by taking the high school proficiency exam.
Tony went to the supermarket with $5. He bought $2 worth of groceries.
It was so remarkable that this was a real test and that people might struggle with the answers.
He returned with A, $7, B, $2. I mean, it was just like, what are you talking about?
There was a guy that about 20 minutes into it just started crying and threw the test down because it was too hard for him.
And if you failed the GED, I apologize in advance for my portrayal of it.
Kind of single metal kids out as being not as smart, but all the kids that I knew that were into heavy metal were the sharpest kids at the school.
When I was filling out my Harvard College roommate request sheet, I wanted it very clear to all my prospective roommates that I was into metal, that metal was going to be a big part of our college life, and that hopefully they played an instrument and wanted to play metal in the room with me.
Graduated 85, Valley Stream Central.
I was just ready to get my diploma to get out of there, you know, and say, thank God, no more of that.
I just wanted to get the hell out of there. That's all I could think. I was like, I can't wait to get out of here. It's hot, and I'm leaving this place, and I can't wait.
You know, I got my blue gown. Underneath had my cutoff, screaming for vengeance. I was heavy metal man in disguise. And class of 85. In like one swoop, gown off. Dangling cross earring. Another metal man is joining this earth.
We had this kid, Joey, who we don't know what happened to him, but he actually carved Ozzy in his knuckles with like a razor blade and like ink from a ballpoint pen. And I'm just wondering, like, now that he's like 32, if it still says Ozzy all faded, kind of messed up on his hand. But...
Coming up, reflections on a life dedicated to metal.
This is a shrine to our metal youth.
Never dies.
Fortune, fame, mirror vein, gone insane, but the memory remains.
We're sitting outside of the house we grew up in as Metalheads, and I'm looking down and I saw my name carved into the ground, which I don't remember doing. And then as I look around, I noticed Jeremy. I wrote my name in full heavy metal Def Leppard style letters, like the Maiden 87 with the Iron Maiden symbol right there. This is a shrine to our metal youth. Maybe someday, if we're killed like in a tragic accident or somewhere, there'll be like candles out here and people will come and like write their name on the curb and stuff. Or probably not. Maybe they'll just like pour beer on it like that, or just pee on it.
If you're really a metalhead, it doesn't go away. I mean, I'm 38 years old. I've been into this since I'm 14, you know? And it became so much a part of my life, like it's still here. I'm doing this as a career.
Metal was more than a vital part of my teenage years. It was a crucial part. I never would have picked up the guitar were it not for heavy metal music.
I think metal helped me get to the big leagues. I just remember driving from like Modesto down to, you know, Bakersfield, California, listening to AC/DC, Accept, Dio, Metallica, all these bands and CDs that I had. I mean, even now, I mean, he's 40, I'm 30-something. And we're still listening to heavy metal.
At SNL, there would be days where I would get really frustrated, and they were very, very competitive and warming up for shows, and that energy and no other music was metal that get me pumped up, ready to go, focused, channeled, and listen to certain lyrics. Now I can do this.
Hey, I'm Joe Pesci. Smoking how? You know, smoking like in the boys' room? Smoking like my ass after some Mexican food?
I had lost a parent when I was a teenager, and so metal came along at a perfect time for me because I really needed to feel a part of something and get into a scene, and it kind of saved me in a lot of ways.
You're growing up, and music takes you through everything. Music is your medicine. You know, it helps you through all the crap that you go through.
I really turned to music to be kind of that thing, that art form that helped me express myself.
Funny thing I think about the beginning of Jane's Addiction sound is me and Dave were so into metal at the time.
Yeah.
And Perry and Eric were really into
goth and punk.
And that was the sound of Jane's Addiction to me. Was the dark side from those cats and the bright, crazy,
just the
shiny
metal.
I think that's what happens. Like, a lot of people kind of mature, they get more of an adult look.
The photos of me back then are funny, but it's also interesting how little I've really changed, and that's what's frightening.
It's just so weird that you portray this dad, and you have Raffi on. Thanks a lot. The minute my kid said,
See you later, Dad.
I'm you!
Sad but true.
The Metalhead fantasy is all it was cracked up to be. It's a beautiful thing.
There's a venue about a half hour from here called Irvine Meadows, and we went to a lot of heavy metal concerts there back in the day, and we actually got to play there a few times since then, and that's been like the ultimate remembering being that kid in the lawn section, you know,
Yeah.
just like trying to jump the wall to get closer to the stage, and then now we're walking around backstage, and our tour bus is back there, and it's like full circle, like what we dreamed about when we were kids, and
insane.
So it's all good.
Out of all the girls, you were the worst.
14 came.
She looks like a parakeet. It's looking a little hoochie.
She hasn't got any oomph.
But only one